Atheist University YouTube series on inaccessism. See no God, speak no God, hear no God. Inaccessism is a viewpoint or principle that considers that a God is not accessible to man, and that therefore, whether or not a God exists, it is as if he does not, since neither can communicate with the other. This impossibility to communicate nullifies ipso facto the authority of any religion in matters of the divine. Welcome to our video number 4. This YouTube video series is written by Nancy Phillips. I am Nancy's agent in the USA, and I have been appointed your host for this program. Our goal. Our purpose is to inform all persons willing and dedicated to understanding the philosophical position of atheism in comparison to religious philosophies, and most importantly to scriptural religious philosophies. We bring a new approach and a new definition to atheism. Our subject today is speaking to God, also called prayer. At the beginning of every new video, we will recapitulate the elements of our red list, the ones that we have demonstrated that religion has claimed to know but does not. We will post them on a scroll like this one. God is not omnibenevolent and omnipotent at the same time, and perhaps neither one. God is not omniscient either. We have discovered that the Scriptures do not know what characteristics or attributes their God has. For some yet obscure reason, the Scriptures do not tell us the truth about God's attributes. This lack of information is now on our red list. Religion tells us of messengers of God called angels, but they do not exist. Warning. This video may trouble some of our religious friends. If you are very religious and therefore firmly conditioned, this video may cause some of those reflex reactions we mentioned in our second video. So far, we can't see God. But can we speak to God? Speaking to God, the problem of prayer. We learned in video 3 that religion cannot see its God, nor can we. So I asked my religious friends if I can speak to God, and if he can answer me. Nancy, you can speak to God and ask him all the questions you want. The way you do it is through something called prayer. Wonderful, I say. Let's do it. Where does one start analyzing prayer? Religion wants us to analyze every little bit of its texts, every little aspect of its prayers, every little detail of its rites, etc. This is where it wants to see us enter the forest or the maze. This is where it can lose us. This is where our strategy matters. So consider the following. Imagine that we would try to analyze millions of prayers. It would take years, perhaps dozens of years, and what would we hope to learn? It would be like trying to study a galaxy in detail, but all galaxies have similar characteristics. To know a forest, you need to leave the forest and see it from a vantage point where you can get the big picture. In the same way, a person lost in his scriptures is lost in the trees. The procedures, the locations, the magic stones, utensils, instruments, etc. that accompany prayer are the leaves of the trees, the stars in the galaxy. The importance is the purpose of the prayers and the expected outcome. What exactly do you ask in a prayer? Think about it for a minute. Of course, there is food. So many magic positions and procedures. Procedures and more procedures. Should I be kneeling? Should I be standing, kneeling, bowing? Should I be laying down? Should I be raising my hands? Did you wash your hands? Hell, I forgot to wash my hands. You didn't shut your eyes hard enough. You peeked. Should we sacrifice an animal? Should we sacrifice a goat? Who should we sacrifice? Who wants to be sacrificed? Raise your hand. Should we sacrifice a young maiden? Did you touch the magic wall? Did you touch the magic man? The purpose of the prayer and the expected outcome can easily be identified and can give us the essential categories of prayer. From this we get the big picture. With only a little satire, there is the first category of prayer, the give me prayer. In this category is the please save my life prayer. Give me, give them, give us something prayer. Usually it is healing, food, money, hope, rain, sun, a car, a wife, a child, a job, a win, stuff. The second category is the thank you prayer. In this category is the thank you for saving my life, his life, their lives. Thank you. Thank you for the stuff and the stuffing. How about just saying, good bread, good meat, good Lord, let's eat. Thank you for the rain. Thank you for the health and healing. Thank you for the car, the house, the win, the job, the money, and so on. No matter the number of prayers, aka leaves, branches, roots, trees, stars you may study, you will always find these two categories. But suddenly we realize something gravenous for the character of this God. If you are in a building and an earthquake occurs, the building collapses, you pray to be saved. But what about the others in the building, including young, innocent children? What if you are saved and a young, innocent child is killed? Are you more worthy to live than the child? How does this God make the decision? The horrifying consequence of the study of prayer is that God is inevitably biased. It is an inevitable attribute of this God that religion does not recognize for obvious reasons. Whomever prays for help, this God has a choice to make, and this choice can only lead to one thing, to one dilemma. God has to choose between you and someone else, between the person praying and someone else. If you survive and others die, then God is biased. The only way out for God is to save everyone. After all, scriptures say that he is all-merciful and all-powerful. Anytime someone asks God for something, this someone is asking God to be biased. This is the perverse side of prayer. But when was the last time God saved everyone? It should always happen every time. So whether or not prayer works, it puts God on the spot. God is not all merciful. He is biased. If God only answers certain prayers, then God is biased. God is not all merciful. God is biased. Our red list is getting longer. And in what kind of plan of God does this horrifying situation fall into? For the tortuous minds out there, saying that God must have plans for you if the prayer does not work is absurd. If God has plans for whatever happens, then what is the purpose of praying in the first place? And secondly, it means that you have no free will, not even if you live in another parallel universe. The odds are against you being there at the right time and just at the right universe. By the way, the scriptures never mention universes, not even ours. Now the question is, does science have anything to say about prayer? Can it come to the rescue? Well, the answer is yes, it already has. The STEP 3-year study of the therapeutic effects of intercessory prayer in April of 2006 is the largest ever scientific study of the influence of prayer on 1,800 patients undergoing heart bypass surgery. The study was paid by the John Templeton Foundation and cost $2.4 million. The research team included doctors and clergy from 6 institutions, including Harvard Medical School and the Mayo Clinic in the USA. Conclusion: prayer does not work. Sorry to disappoint you, and our red list is still growing. Science proves prayer does not work. Sir Francis Galton, a British scientist, on August 1, 1872, presented a scientific paper, Statistical Analysis of Prayer, and demonstrated the inefficacy of prayer. The statistical analysis was done in a hospital setting. The clergy was part of the experiment. He demonstrates the lack of special providences, miracles of God, for those who pray in the name of whatever particular God they wish, even Jesus. He concludes that God would be biased if he responded only to some people and not all, so prayer can only be universal. This universality of prayer, writes Sir Galton, would prove that the prayers of pagans, heathens, and the rest of the world are answered in the same way as those who follow religious orthodox rituals. In which case, why bother with religion? So apparently God makes it easy by responding to no prayers at all. Here is a link to Dr. Galton's work. Our red list reads, prayer does not work. We cannot speak to God. God is not omnibenevolent. God is biased. If God does not know we need help, God is not omniscient. We cannot speak to this God aloud or in a whisper. If he does not hear us, if he is deaf, then he is not omnipotent, all-powerful. Prayer does not work. If he only listens and responds to some of us, then he is not omnibenevolent, all-merciful. He is biased. We cannot speak to God, or he doesn't hear or care. Take a long, hard look at the following pictures. Then, if you dare, tell me that your God is all-merciful, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-benevolent, and not biased, incompetent, and indifferent. Douaumont ossuary in France, with 130,000 dislocated partial bodies of unknown soldiers of both sides piled on one another, brothers in death. These were once healthy young men who prayed to survive. These were once healthy civilians who prayed to survive. Just what do the words mercy, benevolence, empathy, compassion, humanism mean to you? Or are you so conditioned that you are no longer a human being, but just a puppet, a robot, a brainless entity? If so, I pity you. Can you look me in the eyes and say the words, God is not all-powerful, all-knowing, all-benevolent? Tens of thousands of people who prayed for help and for their lives. There is a way to test prayer in an inoffensive manner that would resolve the question once and for all. But there is a formidable obstacle to this. It is interfaith dialogue. Each religion says, talk all you want, but there is only one truth, and we have it. We cannot compromise on the truth, which basically means that interfaith dialogue is a genuine hypocrisy. But if we could get all scriptural religions to agree on a global day of prayer, or even a national day of prayer, and agree on one simple determining prayer, we could resolve the question of this efficacy of prayer once and for all. The prayer would go something like this. Dear Deity, please heal all the persons in the hospital on 10th Street in this specific city by Saturday, June 9th of this year by the end of the day. Thank you for the health and healing. We love you and believe in you, blah, blah, blah. In Matthew 15, verses 21 through 28 of the Christian Scriptures, Jesus encounters a Canaanite woman who begs him to cure her daughter. Jesus refuses her request. He basically says that he came to save the Jews, not the Gentile dogs. My point is, if we take this incident at face value, Jesus, God, is not omnibenevolent. He is biased. Even the Scriptures demonstrate this, whatever the interpretations of this incident are. God is not all-merciful, all-powerful, and not all-knowing. Repeat 5 times a day for 3 months or until deconditioned. Nancy Phillips demonstrates the principle of inaccessism in 4 books. Nancy Phillips' books are available at Amazon.com, at Barnes & Noble, and Abe Books. Her first textbook is So You Have an Invisible Friend. This book is available in French version, donc vous avez un ami invisible. Her second book is the Book of Atheisms, which is a companion book to the first textbook. It contains sound bites of the principle of inaccessism, as well as definitions of atheism. Her second textbook is entitled So You Have an Invisible Fear. It is also available in French version. Donc vous avez une peur invisible. The last book is the Book of Deus Desum. It is the companion book to the second textbook that demonstrates that there is not the slightest clue to the presence of a universal God on our planet or in our immediate universe. This is the end of our video number 4. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and consult our books. Please consult our new video number 5 on the subject of an angel who lied, the case of Mormonism. Please read our first disclaimers and please read our disclaimers too.